business. So with that, I will call the meeting to order and ask for roll call, please.
Hanlon,
Here.
Noggle,
Here.
Noggle, Spoon,
Here.
Wagers, Mullins,
Here, would you all please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? Salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic stand one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you. Item three is opportunity for the public to be heard, and we have a speaker tonight, Mark Boyd. He was going to talk, and come on up, Mark. We got a podium set up for you. And just to let you know, we allow people public input. We give them 5 minutes to tell us about stuff. And just let you know that since it's not a board item, the board really can't answer your questions. We just like to hear what you have to say. Mark, the floor is yours, sir. Thank you.
I'm the grandson.
We're online too, Mark. That way you.
Well, I may. I'm the grandson of Clyde Boyd Sr. My father was the dentist in Sand Springs. I'm here with my brother, younger brother, John Boyd. I'm here just to voice my interest in agenda item that I saw, item number 44, concerning the naming of the middle school. Obviously, I've observed the sign's already up. Says Sand Springs Middle School. So I'm just here to basically put a little vote forward in trying to maintain my grandfather's legacy in some fashion at the school. I don't know exactly what that is. I was part of the inaugural freshman class. I lived on the north side. Had to go through a name change during that period too. We ended up with Central Sooners, I think is what we called ourselves, which seems pretty weird now. Clyde Boyd Middle School has been around since I believe the inaugural class was 1972. It's always been called Clyde Boyd Middle School. I know the branding challenge that we all have in this community with the name Charles Page. We sure wouldn't touch that name. Charles Page is part of our community, just like my grandfather was part of this community. He had to overcome quite a few issues back in the late 60s and early 70s to convince the south side of Sand Springs to build this school. And he poured his heart and soul into it, as well as your counterparts back during that period, because the community was against it. Just like the community was against it in the 60s for integration with Booker T. Washington. Those things go hand in hand with my grandfather, because he was part of what brought change to this community. And I just want to make sure for my children, for my grandchildren, for my great-grandchildren, that his legacy is maintained in this community, because extremely important to this community and to the education system that we now have. I'm proud of Sand Springs. Call myself a Sand Springs alumni every opportunity I have. But part of it came from my grandfather. And I just want you guys serious consideration, discussion. Do what you can to maintain grandfather's name. Thanks.
Thank you, Mark. I appreciate that. I'll just tell you, your dad was my dentist for a number of years. Oh my goodness. That brings back memories, sir. Lots of memories. Thank you for that. Move on now to item number 4, which is the Pacesetter Award. I'm going to ask Miss Hobson to join me along with Jeannie Snow. Thank you for joining us. I enjoy doing this so much. Because what this shows the superstars that we have in Sand Springs. And don't use that term a lot. We have lots of them. You're one of them. I'm going to read what it says. What a Pacesetter Award is for. Sand Springs Public Schools proudly presents this certificate to Jeannie Snow for outstanding achievements and accomplishments as a Sand Springs Public School employee. And I want to read what Miss Hobson wrote. I'm going to hand you that and read what Miss Hobson wrote about you because it's kind of like, wow. And some of them I might have some questions about too, but that's okay. It says, Jeannie Snow exemplifies the spirit of the Pace Sitter Award through her unwavering dedication and joyful service to Sand Springs Public Schools. As a proud parent of 4 district students and the PTO president of Angus Valley Elementary, Jeannie goes above and beyond to support both staff and students. She leads and organizes successful PTO fundraisers, keeps morale high by stocking the teacher lounge with thoughtful treats, organizing staff luncheons, and brings a sense of fun and community to every event, sometimes even raising a few eyebrows and the principal's blood pressure along the way. By the way, the tattoo the teacher and the principal? You might have to tell more about that one later on, okay. Tattoo was a huge success. Jeannie is the first to step in when help is needed, whether that means answering an early morning call to substitute, committing to long-term sub-rules, or supporting state testing. From popping popcorn with staff to ensuring every school event is meaningful and memorable. Jeannie's energy, reliability, and heart for service make her an invaluable asset to Angus Valley Elementary and a true representative of excellence in Sand Springs Public Schools. What a deal. Ms. Hobson, I'll let you tell any more.
Well, I need to add one more piece. We have an annual Truck Touch event that's held in the parking lot at the high school, and Ms. Snow and Ms. Wilson help coordinate that. And yes, this last year, we were able to support teachers with over $7,000 for the classroom. So that effort is an ongoing community outreach that goes throughout a whole year. It's not just during the month of April or May. So thank you for not only stocking the lounge, but also stocking our hearts with your servanthood and just your love and care for this community.
Here. So.
I can't do it without the ladies that support me.
I'll let you talk too.
I just can't do it without the other moms that support me and help out too. They come at the drop of a hat also, so.
What I heard in all that, it's all about kids. And everything that we did was supporting teachers, which support the kids. So thank you for that. So cool. Thank you all, and now we're going to get into the business components of the meeting. And I usually say if the kids are here and they've got homework to do, now would be a great time to leave to go do that homework. But I hope they don't have homework yet. But if anybody has a desire to leave, you're more than welcome. Now's a great time. Or if you want to stay for the entire meeting, you're more than welcome to do that as well. Thank you all. I appreciate y'all coming. Ms. Durkee, if you could please lead us through item number 5, discussion about student empowerment and staff empowerment.
So I'm going to talk about the first 3 talking points I had for this before Mr. Roeder does a short presentation for Page Academy. I thought it would be healthy for the board to hear a couple of things that he has to say. We're really impressed and proud of his program, but before he does that, I just want to talk about a couple of things. The first is the increased meal prices for child nutrition. We've talked about that before, and of course it was approved. However, I thought it might be helpful for you guys to have an article that would document the need that other districts in the 918 by Tulsa Kids Magazine. That was just an email that came randomly in the mail. So obviously she's not here tonight, but we'll make a huge deal out of it in a little bit. But somebody obviously nominated her, and so she was able to get named, and that will come out really soon. And then just a little note on the recess bill that was passed in the spring. We posted out on social media our intention of starting the school day 10 minutes early to incorporate additional minutes for recess. I think it's important to note those recess minutes are calculated in not in instructional time as has been allowed in the past. We have been remiss to find an actual statement in state law that says you cannot put recess minutes in instructional minutes. We've done that forever. We can't find it, to be honest. It's an interpretation by the attorney at the State Board of Education. But what that did with 20 additional minutes, had it been forced upon us without some intervention from Superintendent Fields, we would have been completely out of our banked minutes for snow days. So, as you probably know, Superintendent Fields allowed an exception this year for at least 20 minutes of those 40 now that are required to be counted as instructional minutes. So we're good this year. I will say it will take some advocacy, I think, on our part, because fully implemented at the interpretation by the SDE lawyer, we will be adding additional minutes and potentially even days next year. So more to come on that one. Suffice it to say, we're not changing really much of the calendar except for 10 minutes at the beginning day for elementary kids only. Breakfast, good grief, will still be offered with the same amount of time that they have always been, because we can take that breakfast time into recess, and so we won't end breakfast. I know that was a concern with some of the comments on Facebook, but that won't change or negate the ability for kids to have breakfast. But it is something that we need to talk about. We'll be doing a podcast to publish on our YouTube channel to talk really in depth about it. But anytime there's some sort of change that the legislature passes, either intentional or unintentional, there are consequences for it. And this one was kind of a big one at first until we got a little bit of relief from the state superintendent. So I would be more than happy to answer any questions about that.
So, Ms. Durkee, I was reading some of the comments that
Sure.
people were posting. I know I shouldn't look at social media, but it's kind of
Probably
tempting
not.
at times.
Yeah.
But I did see where we're going to, if they serve breakfast until 7:45 and the
That's
kids won't be
correct.
counted late, if they supposed to start school at 7:30, but that 15 minutes, but we won't really start
So
real
let me-
instruction until all
yes.
the kids are there?
Because they allow breakfast to be served during recess, that time, even though it's instructional minutes, gets to count. There was some comments about why not after school, and because of how we work transportation,
Right.
closing a gap of an hour between routes was totally impossible. As far as the tardies are concerned, I think what people need to understand is those tardies are taken when kids reach the classroom for instructional time. So I don't want to excuse being late. We expect students to be there at 7:30. That would be their official start time. But the teachers at the sites are not taking roll per se until the kids actually go to the classroom. So there's a little bit of value, I think, in just that time being available if a child needs to finish breakfast or whatever. So again, official start time is 7:30. Some will probably be using that time for recess, which is fine. I know one of our sites has chosen to plant that recess time intermittently at a different time of the day, but just know when kids get to the room after that recess time, that's when teachers will start noting the kids are not there.
I did notice, and I was very appreciative of when there was a question that was asked, you had someone on your team responding to it. That was wonderful. That tells them that
Right, that would have been Miss Jittister. She's,
that was great. I appreciate.
can I say that she was a really great hire, 5-6 years ago? Can I just reiterate that one more time? She's done amazing. But I just know that the things that we do are thoughtful. Communication is thoughtful. Sometimes we miss a component that we don't think about people asking, and when that happens, we regroup and go, oh, we should answer this question because we didn't think through all of it. And sometimes it's really hard just to know what everyone's going to ask. So that definitely was one, and she was Johnny on the spot trying to answer those questions. So she needs some kudos. So at this point,
Go ahead. Any
if
other
you're
questions
ready,
for
I'm
Ms.
going to turn
Durkee?
it over to Mr. Roeder, who's got a couple of slides
Sure.
he wants to show us, and just talk a little bit about Page Academy. Getting signed in. I think Sean, will it be on the screen too? Oh, got you. It should be electronically attached. I know. No pressure, Jay.
So has anybody seen the Odyssey yet?
Thought I have not. Is it good?
I don't know. I'm
Oh.
going tomorrow. No, I'm going Wednesday. Yeah.
I have one more question about the recess bill. I understand that
You bet.
this year, 10 minutes of that 20 minutes can be considered instructional time.
So
But next
in-
year will be different?
in actuality, now that they've added 20 additional minutes, there's really 40 minutes that are required.
Oh,
Right. That's what we said. So 20 of which we were already embedded historically. So what changed is that 20 minutes historically could be counted as instructional time. It always has been like that. And again, I would argue that there's not a clear interpretation of the law that would indicate that the law indicates that it must be not counted as instruction. So when they doubled the recess time, that meant that all 40 of those minutes, they were not going to let us count as instructional minutes. Yeah. And so what Superintendent Fields came in and did is the additional 20 can be counted as instruction. So they've given us 20 minutes that have historically been counted, but yet we still have to go the additional 20 for recess. We added 10 because it was a compromise. We lost a few of our banked days for snow days. So we have right at a little less than 5 days banked, which we've had years it has been 5 or more. Last year was 4. So it's one of those, it's a little bit of a roll of the dice, to be honest about it.
3 you said?
We have a little over 4, so a little less than 5. So 5 snow days, we're probably either adding more minutes to the day, or putting a day at the end of the school year. So something to think about. That's the reason I think it's so important for advocacy to happen, because if under the interpretation by the SDE attorney, if that continues, then there will be no choice but to add either additional days or additional minutes, which either makes the day extremely long or the school year longer. So that's the reality we are in right
So the
now.
28 school year might be 40 minutes of non-instructional time.
Right,
as recess in
exactly.
elementary school. Okay.
Or 180-day school year turns into 183. Yeah. So we'll play with that next year. We'll kind of see how this year translates.
I just can't figure out why some school districts added 1 minute to their schedule.
I don't know. I would not even venture
Yeah,
to
well,
talk about the reason why you might do that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly, so.
So will it not be on all 3 screens?
No.
Okay. Gotcha.
So this just going to go over a few things from this previous year, and then talk about a little bit about where we are going in 2026, 2027 at Page Academy. My first year was last year, and we had a successful year. We had 40 out of our 42 eligible students to graduate met the requirements to graduate, which meant graduation was the largest that Page Academy had ever had. We had 2 of those students that also completed tech programs. One has gone back to Tulsa Tech to complete the child development program. And she completed nursing or a medical assistant program last spring, and then now she's doing child development. And then our other student that completed the law enforcement program is now working at David L. Moss for the sheriff's office. And he actually graduated early. He graduated in February and then graduated from tech in May. We continued our partnership with the ECEC, which is where Jana Purcell takes a group of students over to the ECEC on Friday for a couple of hours, and the students go in and serve as teacher's aides for that time, and they help with whatever projects they have going on. get to really enjoy the kids. Had a couple of them that came back, decided they maybe want to go into education or come back and be paraprofessionals for the district as soon as they graduate. So it's just giving them some great experience that otherwise they would not have. Half of those 40 earned us post-secondary points for graduation on the report card, which was a change from the year before. The year before, we had less than 5. So we went from, I think it was 3 up to 20. And then this year, we should have almost 100% of them, of the graduates that earn post-secondary points. Post-secondary points come from internships, career tech participation, or TCC participation. Of those 40, we also had 20 that completed the College and Career Readiness Diploma, which instead of the core diploma, which meant they met all the requirements so that when they apply for college, they have everything they need to go in and be successful. Last year, our graduating class had no College and Career Readiness diplomas. They had core diplomas. So we have, and the big thing to remember is at Page, we're limited by class size and by student-teacher ratio. We have to maintain a 15-to-1 student-teacher ratio. So at any given time, from grades 7 through 12, I can have a maximum of 90 kids. And so to have 40 graduate at any given time, we're only able to have 90, and some of those are at Clyde Boyd in the alt-ed program there. We felt really good about last year and feel real good about where we're going to be this year. So moving into this year, we went in and we started an enrollment process. Now every family that enrolls to come to Page Academy, I meet with personally. It's not a digital application. They have an online application to show that they're interested. I get an application from the student, from the parent, and the counselor. And then we arrange an in-person meeting where we sit down and we go through a series of intake questions, and we get a lot of information about kids, go through their credits. They know when they leave, it's going to take you this long. There's times where I've got kids that when they come in, they know we have to have that conversation. You're not going to graduate this year. You should, but there's no way. But we can get you there by October of next year or Christmas of next year. We always give them everything they need so they know and they can come up with a plan. Another thing we've done is we moved from trimesters to quarters. So by moving to quarters, we align with Charles Page High School at the end of our second quarter. So that way we're not 6 weeks into our second trimester and then kids are trying to come in and get caught up, or we're not finishing a trimester and the kids are coming in and then in November and they only have 6 weeks. So by going to quarters, we're better aligned with the high school. We can get kids over more often. So if we have a senior that's going to be short credits, we can get them in, get them caught up, and get them out on time. Because as soon as if they don't make it on time, they're more likely they're never going to make it. So we want to do everything we can. Our focus is dropout prevention. Alternative education is the only program in the state of Oklahoma with that focus. So we have alternative course credit options that we can do. We can allow kids to test out of courses. We allow kids to, if we need to, we can do proficiency packets. We can do various things to get them credits. We also have our virtual curriculum so they can do credit recovery. Just anything that we need to do, we can pretty much find a way to do it to get them to graduate on time. But part of that focus on dropout prevention is we're going back through all of the previous years to find any student that is currently listed as a dropout. If they're within 3 credits of graduation, I'm going to call them and try to get them back, and we're going to try to get them to graduate by the end of the first 9 weeks if possible. So we're going to really go back and maybe change some kids' pathway just because now they're going to have that high school diploma. All of our graduates this year should complete the College and Career Readiness Diploma. The courses that usually get trip them up a little bit, computer applications 2 and algebra 2. If we can get them through algebra 2, we pretty much get them through anything. Algebra 2 is tough. Every student we graduate with a plan. It's not, oh, I don't know what I'm going to do. When they walk out our doors, they know. If I'm going to tech, we've already helped them apply. If they're going to go to TCC, we've helped them apply. If they need a job, we're going to help them apply. We have a partnership with Family and Children's Services. We have a youth care coordinator in our building. And part of what that youth care coordinator can do is work with them on those things. She can work with them pretty much on anything, helping them get their driver's license, food handler's permit, applications. So if we need that extra support, we have it. Our community partnerships are huge. We have the ECEC, we have community services, but we are really looking for ways this year to give back to the community. Mr. Morrow is going to be looking for people who need help. If somebody or an organization needs help with cleaning some things up, we have our Fridays where what we're calling our Alt Ed days. So every Friday, our focus is on all of the things that's not regular education. If we're talking personal financial literacy, alternative art, life skills. We're going to have somebody come in and teach the kids how to change tires, change the batteries on their cars, do the little things so that it doesn't cost them down the road to pay somebody else to do something they could do themselves. That increased focus on life skills and personal financial literacy is just a way to make sure that our kids are prepared for everything that comes after Page Academy.
Any questions?
Are you fully staffed this year?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, everybody's coming back.
Everybody's coming back?
Yep, no, nobody left.
Any other questions for Mr. Roeder or Ms. Durkee? Thank you.
Thank you, Jay. As you know, that's a program that makes us extremely proud. And graduating that many kiddos that could have been at risk for graduation at all is a really great statement about that facility. So, Jay, thank you.
I just see that as we graduated 400 students total, and 10% of them are the alternative school. That's great.
That's correct.
That's a big deal.
Yeah.
I like that.
And they walk at graduation, as you know, but then they have their separate kind of celebration and honor the seniors. So it's a really great program.
Thank you. Ms. Durkee leads on to item number 6, resource innovation.
You bet. There's one attachment that I won't be able to pull on the screen since the technology's not connected, I don't think, tonight. We've got it. You have it? But let's start with... Okay, no shame. We did it on purpose. No, we did not do it on... I'm joking. Mr. Boyd makes a really great point, I think. So thank you for coming to speak before the board meeting. Can you pull the board notes up? Yes. Okay, yeah. Item 44 is about a rebranding of our middle school complex. I want to make a public statement in that we're not trying to cover it. We want to honor history for sure. I spoke to the Boyds before the board meeting started about this idea of branding. And when I first started as superintendent, Mr. Sitton and I and some members of the leadership team got together and determined what we think is a really solid brand. We know we're Sandites, but what happens in the community and outside the community really is that we have to explain a little bit. So Clyde Boyd students go to an academic competition or a sports competition and wear jerseys that say Clyde Boyd, and the first question they get is, where are you from? I told a story tonight, and I said, bear with me because I'm going to repeat it, because this is a story that happened to me last week as I'm going through physical therapy for my shoulder, which is irrelevant, but it makes a good point. So there's a helper. He's a senior in college in Kansas who happens to be dating a girl from Sand Springs. And he says, so you're the superintendent? And it's on my record, so I can't deny it there. So I say, yes, I'm the superintendent. He said, well, I'm dating a girl from Sand Springs. I said, oh, great. And I knew her and her family. And he said, man, it's really confusing, though. Like, it's Charles Page High School, and the Minuteman is your mascot, but you call yourself Sandites, but you're from Sand Springs. And I said, yes, to all of that. And then, of course, the question, well, who's Charles Page anyway? I don't want to minimize our history at all. That's not the point. The point is clarity for people to know who Sand Springs is. So about the time he finishes talking to me, here comes my physical therapist. He walks up, he goes, oh yeah. He said, did you know, I just found out 2 days ago that the Charles Page High School that were the 6-2A state championship team was actually Sand Springs? I said, case in point. So I hope that we can honor Clyde Boyd, known as Pop Boyd at the time, while at the same time branding our school in a way that makes sense for recognition outside of Sand Springs. So there's a photo, Sean, I don't know if you can pull it up with the attachment. I want people to see, down.
A little bit further down.
Down, Sean.
There it is.
Right there, that one right there. So we've been planning this or just conceptualizing this for a long time. As you know, Ethos is our architect. You also know how name changes and how planning for buildings work. Been around the block a time or two. So you don't plan the sign at the very end of the project, but at the end of the project. You can't do that because it just doesn't work out timing-wise. You know this to be true with bond projects. However, you also don't change the name of a building in the middle of the school year because at the State Department of Ed, it is noted as what the name is at the beginning of the year. So there was, I think, some confusion regarding timing, and that's fair, super fair. But I do want people to know that decisions that we make are pretty well thought out. There's a lot of historical markers at Clyde Boyd Middle School because the school's been built onto 4 or 5 times. And so with each of those renditions, new additions, comes a plaque that states the history, who was superintendent at the time, who the board members were at the time. And I've asked Ethos not only to keep Clyde Boyd's name on the sports complex, which are the 2 gymnasiums that are remaining, but also Thurman Garrett Auditorium will remain on that auditorium in nice new paint, new letters, branded, I think, very nicely. And at the same time, I'm asking Ethos to come up with a way to keep in history a reflection of the history of that facility. So all those markers in some sort of configuration that I would be terrible at making, but Ethos will be great at it, so that people can see. So never is it or would it ever be in our intention to minimize the importance of a person like Clyde Boyd that did do those great things that I know Mr. Boyd shared tonight, but at the same time brand ourselves so that around the community, around the state, where we do get out of Sand Springs to compete, we're known as Sand Springs, that brand of Sand Springs. That really is the heart, I think, of what our team had discussed and what we'd like to present to the board tonight. And I would be more than happy to take any questions thereof.
Will those plaques that were in the middle school that you just talked about, will they also be in the new middle school?
So we've been talking about that. They could be. We talked about the foyer, but we also talked about, because not everybody gets in the middle school. Like your typical community person doesn't get in the middle school. So I'm envisioning the commemoration of Monty Box, for instance, at the Triangle. I'm not saying it's going to look exactly like that, but I'm thinking more of something publicly that's available all the time for anyone in the community. As I'm walking the track, I can stop and look and see what the history of that site was. So it's available to everyone, not just parents and students who happen to peruse the building, is my thought. Of course, I'm expecting Ethos to bring some ideas to the table that we can work through and talk about, but definitely wanted it to be, I personally, but I'm one person, would like it to be available for everyone at any whim when a person might want to walk the site and see it.
Well, I do think it's important that the kiddos also know who the schools are named after.
Sure.
If you go up to any kid, they're not going to know who Charles Page was.
Right.
Most.
Right.
And nor Clyde Boyd. Like, you're going to go up to an average 12, 13-year-old. They just know that's
Sand Springs. Yeah.
the school name, I think it's important to have the kids know who
Right,
the
Right.
school is named after.
sure,
Just like Will Rogers,
mm-hmm,
you know,
right,
they have a history course pretty much of
sure.
Will Rogers and
I think we all as educators value the importance of historical reference. I also think that we've got to provide clarity for those that, as we try to promote ourselves in the larger state of Oklahoma, that people know who we are. And so I hope we can get to a place where people feel comfortable with what we're trying to do as a community and as a school.
I appreciate the legacy of Pop Boyd and,
Sure.
as Mark alluded to tonight, his vision for the community of, the South Side wasn't a whole lot to it.
Right,
When Pop Boyd made the decision and got the community support to say, let's build a middle school there, let's have two, and let's just
Sure.
make it work, and it worked very well for years. And I love the fact that we can continue that in a way
sure,
that presents that legacy up there and stuff, because
Right.
again, what a visionary that he had.
right. But I mean, you run into that same idea that I'm talking about when people say Prattville. People still use the word Prattville. And they question, well, Prattville's separate. No, it's really, all of it's Sand Springs. It's a region. We were in the Elvis movie. I don't know if you realize that, but Elvis, I can't remember what movies. Don't quiz me on it. You'd have to ask my husband. He's the meaningless fact rememberer. He would laugh if I said that out loud. But it was in a movie, and Elvis called, I'm driving through Prattville, which was tagged this side of, the other side of the river, but it's still a thing. People remember that as Prattville, and yeah, I've had to explain, no, it's actually part of Sand Springs. It was, tagged that a long time ago prior to the community. So anyway, being one.
We're a very unique community too, being divided by a river, a railroad track, and an expressway.
Sure,
And we make do, we
make it
cross
work.
it every day,
right.
so.
Yeah, we have a large expanse of geography, there's no doubt, in our community, so,
Cool.
as part of the district.
Thank you for sharing that, Ms.
Yeah.
Turkey.
I felt it was necessary to say that out loud. So, also, we're talking about facilities and financial strategies. State aid came in approximately $300,000 above the allocation last year. We know that's not adequate to pay the $2,000 legislated teacher raises from this year. In fact, if my calculations are correct, it's about half. Cassidy might correct me on that. But we're solid. Doesn't mean that we're not solid. There's a few one-time expenditures from last year that we can capture back. But just so people know, again, when the legislature passes laws to command an increase, sometimes it is not enough necessarily to cover what they've legislated. So worth mentioning, I
I'll
think.
make sure I understand what you just now said. The legislature said, give everybody a $2,000 a year raise, and here's $300,000, take care of that.
Right.
It's gonna cost us $600,000?
Correct. I would say close. You have
Yeah.
more solid numbers. It's pretty close.
Certified staff include more than just, our teacher population. So I think it'll be in the neighborhood of 800,000.
There you go. I was calculating.
$500,000.
It does. I know. I think what they forget is there's vacillation of enrollment with schools. And so putting a solid number on it, on the totality of how many teachers work in the state of Oklahoma, and if you're just counting teachers, which we did not, we count speech pathologists,
Right.
school psychologists, counselors, all those nurses that fit that certified count, it's a lot more expansive. So again, thank you, because it's nice to have a little bit more money in the formula. But again, having more money in the formula that doesn't meet how much we have to spend for legislated expenditures is, troublesome. So, okay.
I think if they keep giving us $2,000 a year raises, we'll be broke in 10 years.
Right. So unless we figure out strategically how we're going to master that, which we
Something
will.
different, Right.
That's what we do. Probably the most exciting news is the approval of the 21st Century Grant for Northwoods and Garfield. We were sweating that out a little bit, but that's going to, it's a very big clap. That's going to allow us to continue those after-school and summer services for our kids at those two sites for the next 5 years. So hooray for Claudia, Jamie, team, they make the magic happen. Yes.
How are we coming on my sign that I want?
At the annex, we have not forgotten it, I promise. So Cassidy and I talk about it at least weekly. Wait, at least, do we not? We talk about this.
Yeah, I personally have not forgotten about this tonight, so.
I'm still waiting for the city to expand the road, which is something they're supposed to do. By the way, the annex, we need to post out on that one too. It's getting closer, laying the wood floor right now. I had a couple of pictures that weren't that great, but it's getting close. And I think the branding on the outside is pretty good. And of course, they'll put the words on and stuff too. But anyway, we're getting close on that one, that project.
Very good.
Oh,
Any
yeah.
further questions?
Yeah, yes.
Any further questions for Ms. Durkee on resource innovation? Move on down to empowering families and communities, number 7.
So we actually canceled our podcast this week. We have lots to share with the community. Ms. Chittister was out with a little bit for personal reasons, and so we're going to reschedule that. We're going to be discussing the new recess bill, changes in the elementary day, the middle school conversation that we had tonight, but also we're going to talk a little bit about our K-9 program that we're going to have ready, I think, for board approval for next month in September. We had a very structured and informative meeting on Friday with the company I think that we're going to go with, to be honest. Ryan Biven has been taking the lead on that program and that idea. I learned a ton on Friday. I learned things like the dogs they use for school canines are retriever type, meaning they're not aggressive. If they're not working, kids can actually pet them. I learned that it's all random, period, end of story. We don't choose when they come. We select how many appearances we want them to make in a given school year, and they randomly come based on our calendar and avoiding blackout dates that we indicate. I learned that they carry liability insurance, that most of their handlers are ex-military or ex-police officers. I learned that they get certified as a team, handler and dog. I mean, it's just so comprehensive. Some of the resistance I had in the beginning, all my questions were answered. I'm feeling pretty good about it. They made a huge point about they're really about instructional time and the learning environment. So they do everything they can not to disrupt that. They are not associated with the police department. So they provide a service. Their search may or may not give us reasonable suspicion for a search by an administrator, but law enforcement is not involved until we would initiate it. So it really is, in their minds, a real preventive program, not a gotcha, which I adore. And you know that was one of my big hang-ups with instituting a program like that to begin with. So I was sold. I think you will be. I'm probably going to have Mr. Biven come and sit in the September board meeting so that you can really respond to questions that you might have. Sharon called today. We did a story. I didn't mention the who, what, when, where. We also know that it has to be board approved before we institute. But I see it as a really great thing for our kids, to be honest. So. Yeah, they have a PEPI program. And so I thought that we would just contract for our secondary sites, but that's not what they do. They contract as a district, and they actually do some programs in elementary, like bring the puppies. They talk about the puppies. They get to pet them. What do? They're work dogs. All those things that elementary kids might have questions about, which is kind of cool. So maybe we could notify. I might. I know. Everyone. Right, true. I agree. I think the key, to be honest, is the communication piece. So Lisa's going to be a super busy girl because people need to know. I don't want to be in this position where it's an uh-oh or people feel like it's a gotcha. They're going to be well informed that that's happening. And so the idea is don't bring the stuff. They also alert on weapons too, which I also didn't know. So the dogs are pretty comprehensive in terms of contraband. They call them contraband dogs. So it was an interesting hour-and-a-half conversation with this guy that was very informative.
What about those kids that come to school and just they live in it? Like, will they be?
I hear you. Potentially. We don't sniff kids, true.
But like their backpacks or
So,
there's stuff that's in there that they may keep in their locker. Will it sniff that out?
so they do cars, and it would be potentially possible for them to alert on a person that had those conditions at home. At that point, we would have reasonable cause to search or investigate, and then you get down to the nitty-gritty of how come it's probably at home, and so you discern that out, you know. So that was one point I became not worried about in the
So
conversation.
they sniff out contraband, you say, drugs and guns?
Firearms, alcohol, tobacco,
Tobacco as well.
the gamut.
And they won't, like every Friday at 2 o'clock they
Nope.
show up. It's going to be random.
Right. In fact, they show up and say, hey, we're here. And you don't know they're coming. Because, number one, it protects us in the idea that people might think we're targeting, they know that he could potentially bring it on Monday. You know, we're just not going to target kids. It's really about randomly going through and making sure the school, quote unquote, is clean, free of.
The Sand Springs Police Department on board with this as well? even
So
though
Christy
it's
Bihar was at the meeting, and to be honest, I kind of got pushed over the finish line by John Noah, who, by the way, took his lieutenant's test. I feel like we might be losing him as a resource officer this year, but good for him, though. He's amazing. But really, that constant kind of poke of, what do you think about a dog program? But the canines could be useful. And so, you get to know a person that you fully trust, then those words weigh heavier, I think, on you. But Christy was at was at our meeting, and as you know, she'll be at Charles Page High School next year, or this coming year. Very excited about it, just because they know the levity. They deal with those fines that we have, meaning we found something that was illegally brought to school. They deal with that too, and it would be in their best interest to, while I would like to fully eliminate it, definitely decrease the instances. So, any other questions?
And these dogs are not, I'm equating it, St. Francis it's a German Shepherd that de-escalates situations. These dogs, if somebody gets aggressive or something, these dogs do not participate in that.
No, so this particular company said they never had a complaint about an aggressive dog. He mentioned the word bite. Do they bite? He said, I get that question a lot, and he said they're non-aggressive, so they're all retriever family dogs. So golden, lab, that kind of thing.
Cool.
Yeah. Learned a lot.
Next month?
Next month. Yep.
Any other questions for Ms. Durkee on item number 7? Please walk us through number 8.
Safety.
Oh, go ahead.
Can we address 6? I don't think we addressed C on.
See.
Yeah.
Wait.
Just went right.
Number 7, I'm sorry. Yeah, we sure can. Always you're invited to the Chamber annual event, State of the Schools presentation. I'll get you a date on that one. It's close to the beginning of September, though, and that's when I just go to the Chamber and during a business luncheon talk about what's all's going on in Sand Springs. Ribbon cutting for the new facilities. Thank you for catching that, Mr. Noggle. They're going to be scheduled soon. I still need clarity on the actual occupancy date for the press box, so I can schedule. I don't want to put a date out there and then it's not ready. I'd like for the elevator to be in full working order before we have that, because I want to get people up in it to see it. September 1st is the date we've tentatively, I say tentatively, but it's probably going to be September 1st. That is right before our board meeting in September, which means we'll likely have the board meeting at Clyde Boyd, so that'll be a special meeting that we'll have to change in the system. And yes, oh yeah, our move-in, We're going to get temporary occupancy by the 10th, so teachers will be able to move in. They don't actually start till the 17th, and then we'll get full before the students come. So yes, we'll be in there, but I thought it would be great to give people tours. So I would love to get the public in before the board meeting, maybe ribbon cut at 5:30 is kind of the tentative plan, and then do some little tours, guided tours with people, and then hold our board meeting in the cafeteria is the thought. So thank you for not skipping over that, Mr. Noggle. I appreciate that.
Perhaps in your podcast you're getting ready to have, you could
Yes.
promote that as well. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. We've got a few topics, don't we, Mr. So then I think we're ready to go on to number 8. 8A, I don't know that it's necessarily well known, but we did have an accident at our transportation department last week. When we have one that creates an injury to an employee, that is always the time to view and review safety practices. I'm not saying anything was awry, I'm just saying it's good to review. So OSAC comes out yearly to look at facilities, identify any possible hazards that we might have, but I think it's always a good idea to retrain, specifically focus on maybe some things that need to be kind of short up. Accidents happen. It's not the best part of any of our day, to be honest, but did want to mention it because we have been talking about how to mitigate potential hazards of any workplace, to be honest, and just making sure people are safety aware. And then we have, there's an incorrect statement here. We didn't add an additional nurse. I don't think these notes got changed on mine. Maybe your copy is correct, but we added a sub-pool for nurses that we haven't ordinarily have, meaning if one of our nurses is gone for the day, then we're creating a sub-pool so we can sub. That way, there's never, hopefully, a day that goes by that one of our nurses is absent and we don't have someone acting in their place. So I think mine are old notes. I think yours are corrected. Yeah, perfect. Any questions about health and safety?
I just give our best to the family and the other workers at the bus station, please.
Yep, absolutely. All right, moving on to consent.
Seeing no further questions, move to consent agenda items. Any items you want to highlight, Ms. Durkee?
Yeah, I would go down to number 12, and I'm going to toss this one to Cassidy. There's 3 closures of outside sanctioned accounts, and I'm going to let him address that in letters C, D, and E on number 12.
Yeah, these clubs have historically operated more like activity groups instead of quote-unquote sanctioned groups. And so this wasn't you can no longer be a sanctioned group. It was more of a conversation with those site leaders and club leaders to see if they wanted to be fully in-house as an activity group. That's all it was, and they agreed. Some of the sanctioning stuff is tricky, to say the least, and so they were all for it. They'll operate the same way as they usually do, just inside the school. So that's pretty much it for those clubs.
Yeah, you don't ordinarily see that, and I just wanted to bring that to your attention.
And those operate differently than even like our main booster clubs, like football, baseball, basketball. So it just makes more sense for them to just be activity groups. So
does that allow them to use tax exempt status if they're inside the school district?
That's correct.
Which
Yeah.
For sanctioned, they do not.
If they're sanctioned groups, they have their own EIN number, their own IRS documentation.
Okay.
And we're still kind of working with that with some of our groups who have operated off of our stuff for years. So,
Okay.
yeah, it's a little bit cleaner for them too, from that standpoint.
More work for you guys?
Same amount of work for us, Mr. Mullen.
Okay, item number 18, I just want to remind you that the kickoff session for back to school is August the 17th in the high school auditorium at 8. We would love to have you guys all come. I think staff really enjoy seeing your faces, and we get the opportunity to introduce a pretty awesome group of people. So, yeah, it's fun. Item 21, I would just bring out the letter B, Nita M. Lowy. I can't even, how do you say that, Jamie? Lowy. 21st Century Community Learning Centers grant. We already talked about that, but love to highlight it as much as I can. 24, this is not new, but I thought I'd just bring it to your attention. The district staff handbook gets a revisit every single year. This is the new one that will go out really quickly this week to all of our employees. There's a lot of I understand, and I'm signing that I understand paperwork in that one. And most of the others, unless you have a question, are fairly normal. I would say surplus is always kind of a thing. We, this summer, as you know, surplused a lot of furniture, Clyde Boyd and Charles Page High School as well. You'll be happy to know that Charles Page has new furniture this year. Yep. And then 35 is just another surplus of technology items. And at that point, they'll go on publicsurplus.com. And then, yeah, it's public, it's online, so people get an opportunity. We sweated, I say we very loosely. I think Cassidy and Chris sweated the desks at Charles Page High School because we had a lot of desks out in the parking lot, and I think they picked up the last of them.
Yeah, they're gone. I
gone.
drove by there this afternoon. I think there were 800 that were moved out of there and then moved completely out of the parking lot area.
If what's interesting about surplus, they may be our trash, but somebody came and got them and picked them up, and we'll be implementing them in a school. So it always feels good for another district, very inexpensively, to pick up stuff that we don't use anymore. So I think that's it, unless you guys have questions on any other item under the consent agenda.
So say that district handbook is great bedtime reading.
Isn't it?
I mean, just.
It's like 45 pages.
So,
Yeah. All those are really great reading. Yes.
Any
I know.
other
But-
questions about the consent agenda item? So,
I make a motion, we accept the consent agenda.
I'll second.
a motion by Mr. Noggle, second by Ms. Spoon to approve the consent agenda items. Any further questions or comments? Call for a vote, please.
Hanlon,
Aye.
Noggle.
Aye.
Spoon,
Aye.
Mullins.
Aye. Item number 37 in the action items to propose executive session to discuss teacher recommendations. Seeing no desire, I'll move to item number 38, proposed approval of temporary teacher recommendations for the 26-27 school year. Entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve number 38 as stated.
I'll second.
Motion by Ms. Spoon, a second by Ms. Hanlon. Any questions?
I would add one comment. Kristen handed me this little orange note today, but I think it's incorrect as of today. I don't know. How many open positions, Ms. Arnold? Charles Page or Clyde Boyd? Okay.
SPED is special education?
Right.
Okay.
Is that 6th and 8th grade? 6th grade and 8th grade?
We onboarded a lady from Tulsa Public today to Limestone Special Ed. She was precious.
Wow.
So, yeah, it was a great hire.
So a few months back, there was the possibility of us having to outsource some of those.
So
Members?
Carrie's left us, but yes, there was, and I'm really hoping that's not the case.
Gotcha.
It is just so much better. One thing I will say I have a huge hooray about, because we've had to contract Speech Pass for the last probably 5 years, outside contracts, which ends up costing the district quite a bit more money. We are now fully staffed with speech pathologists, which feels amazing. So I don't have anything to really complain about. We'll figure out the space at Charles Page if we have to. The requirement is you leave the posting up until the approval happens.
You said that, I think, at our last meeting, and I actually was having a conversation with somebody that brought that up, that asked, why do we have so many? And I was like, well, fun fact. And I told them about that, and they
You're
were like,
smart.
oh, that makes a lot more sense.
Right.
So. Mhm.
They're not.
Right.
I believe that I saw something that Lindell Fields and the state board had 1,300 emergency certified teachers this past week, whatever it was. That's a big number, and some of those are ours, it sounds like. So,
Few.
good, good. I still tell the fact that we are a very attractive school district. People want to come to Sand Springs, so.
It's true.
Because of you guys.
I think so, but I think it's a lot of dynamic that happens with the magic of being a Sandite, to be honest.
Any other questions about item number 38? We have a motion and a second to approve the temporary, we do have a motion
We
second,
did.
don't we? Any further questions? I call for a vote, please.
Hanlon,
Aye.
Noggle, Spoon,
Aye.
Mullins.
Aye. Item 39, a potential executive session. Seeing none, we'll move to item number 40. Entertain a motion to approve the employment recommendations as listed for
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
motion by Ms. Hanlon, second by Ms. Spoon. Any additions or discussions or questions? Seeing none, call for a vote, please.
Hanlon,
Aye.
Noggle,
Aye.
Spoon,
Aye.
Mullins.
Aye. Item number 41, Ms. Durkee, if you could walk us through that one,
Sure.
please.
There is an occasion, as you know, where we ask you to rescind employment recommendation that you made previously in the summer. This is like that. Mr. Miles Stevenson, we are asking for a rescission of the employment offer. Circumstances are such for various reasons why people might do that, but this one will not be joining us in the new year, so we're asking the board to rescind their previous approval.
Okay. Entertain a motion for that.
I'll make a motion to approve the rescinded employment, as stated.
A motion by Ms. Spoon
I'll second.
and a second by Ms. Hanlon. Any questions or further discussion? Ask for a vote, please.
Hanlon,
Aye.
Noggle,
Aye.
Spoon,
Aye.
Mullins.
Aye. Item number 42.
So, as you know, legislative season can bring a necessary change to policy to align with the current law, which is what these four are. So maternity leave changed just a bit, student retention, i.e. the new reading law, concurrent enrollment, and staff members in social networking sites have also changed. So we're asking for approval tonight of the revised policies.
Do we know anybody who's expecting a child?
We do, actually. Got
Thought so.
a question about that today, as a matter of fact.
I wonder who that could be.
Well, it's not me.
It's not me. I promise you it's not
Well,
me.
yeah, it is. One came home.
I would entertain a motion for item number 42 to approve the four policies as listed.
Well, I have a question first.
Okay.
Okay?
The staff members and social networking, policy, isn't that, like you said, already in play? It's just you're revising and
That's
putting
correct.
clarity to it?
That's correct.
Okay, okay. That was my question. I'll make a motion to approve number 42 as stated.
A motion by Ms. Spoon. Is there a second?
I'll second.
And a second by Ms. Hanlon. My question is, did these policies come through OSSBA or is this through?
Most of them do. There's an occasion we'll get clarification from RFR. Most of the time, if we do that, it's because we've run into a particular snag that we felt like maybe needed more clarity in language, and so we'll depend on Mr. Pretty and his team
Sure.
to supply some language, and that's noted in the policy name, if that's the case, and it will say RFR in the name. most of our policies are funneled through OSSBA.
I just love that it's more uniformity between the school districts when we have a policy that's similar to other districts.
That's right, that's correct.
Cool. Any other questions on item number 42? I'd ask for a vote, please.
Hanlon,
Aye.
Noggle,
Aye.
Spoon,
Aye.
Mullins,
Aye. Item 43, proposed approval of OSU registered teacher apprentice pathway. Please
So
walk us through that.
This is a new pathway developed through the allowance of the law that OSU is doing, basically providing degree options for people that already are currently working in a district, so job embedded. So typically those people, I say typically, I'm sure it could be any position, but in our case, we have 7 people that are going through this program to become fully certified that are working as paraprofessionals. So they're in the classroom already. Prior to a change in the way we see things, people would have to quit their jobs to go back full-time to school to get into a program to get their full certification. And so now, maybe likely a result of the teacher shortage, they're allowing job-embedded opportunities. So that means these people continue to work for our district, take their coursework, and become fully certified in a year and a half. Depending on how many hours they have.
We have 7 people that can sign up within our district. So they'll be making their hourly wage, working on becoming a certified teacher, don't have to quit their job while they're doing their student teaching. It's kind of all-inclusive. And this has been around for other districts for a while. It's just taken a while to spread because I know Oklahoma City Schools and TPS were making deals with colleges, but they didn't spread that out to all of us. And so I think this is our second university that's done that too. We have another university that it's Canyon.
Grand Canyon.
Grand Canyon does the same thing.
So these employees have a bachelor's degree?
They will when they finish.
Will have.
Right.
Yeah, we just in this particular program, we didn't know they were accessing this program. We had no idea, and so when we first got the email, I didn't have clarity on what they were talking about, and so we were able to have a conversation, and they were able to tell us 7 identifiable people that actually worked in our district that were going to a degree-seeking program through OSU. So it's a pretty cool program.
Like in Oklahoma, we have a workforce challenge with teachers.
Right.
We're not making teachers like we used to. I love it that we can do that.
Right.
Make our own.
That's right.
I love it.
So.
I had to quit.
Any further questions or discussion? Thank you, Kristen, for explaining that. I entertain a motion to approve the connection with OSU.
I'll make a motion to approve number 43 as stated.
Since Bo's done, I'll second.
We have a
He's
motion
just hanging out there.
by Ms. Spoon, a second by Ms. Hanlon. Is there questions? I'd call for a vote, please.
Hanlon,
Aye.
Noggle,
Aye.
Spoon,
Aye.
Mullins,
Aye. Item 44.
Item 44 is what we discussed previously, also what was spoken to by Mr. Boyd, and we're asking the board to consider a vote to approve a name change from Clyde Boyd Middle School to Sand Springs Middle School in the middle school facility that actually houses the teaching and learning.
But we will have the sports
That's
complex
correct.
with his name on it.
That's correct, and the Thurman Garrett Auditorium. Yes, ma'am.
And it's imperative that we have a name for the facility prior to school starting.
Correct.
Because we don't have to have this approved by the state. This is just a local approval.
So what happens, it's a local approval, but for the state to actually make that name change in the records, we have to send board minutes to the State Department of Ed, and then they go into what we call the single sign-on and change all of the name. We'll change that particular name to the new one, board adopted name. That's how that works.
So what about the sports complex, though? Like,
It's
how do
not identified as a middle school, like it's not a school.
Oh, okay.
So when we're doing accreditation meaning what courses did you teach? Are all your teachers accredited? Did you do the ample number of fire drills? It's really about the middle school where the teaching and learning happens. Those would be ancillary sites. It's kind of like the Ed Doobie Field House or the Fine Arts Building. Yeah.
Cool. Any other questions? See, now I entertain a motion to approve the name change, it's hard to say, from Clyde Boyd Middle School to Sand Springs Middle School.
I'll make a motion to approve number 44 as stated.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Ms. Spoon, a second by Ms. Hanlon. Is there any further questions or discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote, please.
Hanlon,
Aye.
Noggle.
Aye.
Spoon,
Aye.
Mullins.
Aye. Thank you, Ms. Durkee. Item number 45, any matter that could not be known about prior to the meeting?
There is not.
I'll make one announcement reminding people that we have an election on August the 25th. That's imperative to the future of our state. That's all I'm going to say. But encourage everyone to get out and vote.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Wait, hold on.
One more-
There's
one more
also
announcement.
a swap, Sandite swap going on. and so
Carrie
we
left
need
us
some
donations.
children's clothing as well as gently used adult clothing as
Yes.
well, correct?
Yes, so thank you for remembering that, Aubrey, and I won't have the details with me right now, but if you're curious, let me know. So we've done this once before, maybe twice, but I think just once. Sandite Swap, it allows people to donate gently used items, and then anyone in the community, Sandites, can come in, and it's like kind of like a large rummage sale, if you will, can just for free pick up items they might need for school. So thank you for that reminder.
Well, I think our athletic director might have a bicycle that he might.
Right? I agree. You should call him and tell him
Go
that.
Oh, bad.
Really? Oh,
crash.
God.
Cass, did you want to
Yeah,
add?
I just have that email pulled up.
Oh,
So it's
sweet.
now through August 13th, 7:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. and the drop-off location is Garfield.
Sweet. So any gently used items, so really anything, coats, socks, shoes, whatever you have that you might not want. Strollers, yeah. It was very successful last time. It's just a place for people to shop and pick up items they may need.
I just have one more question, and it's kind of related. School starts on August the 20th.
August the 20th.
And we are the last school district that's.
Probably.
And remind us why we are starting later than everybody else?
So we count.
I got that question today.
Yeah,
so
we
I don't-
count the number of days to August 1st because we're a high free and reduced district.
October 1st.
October 1st.
October 1st.
So if we start any closer than 30 days from October 1st, then our what we call rollover students, mean they qualified for free and reduced last year, those kids automatically roll over and are included in our count for disadvantage. What I think is important to remember, our school, because of funding, it's a 0.33 weight. 0.3 weight, meaning each kid adds an element to our funding capacity. So really it's about making sure we're maximizing the money we collect so that we can also maximize the services that we deliver to kids. But that's the reason. Bixby started the 19th, really close. We may have miscalculated it by day, but I don't think so.
What if
Short
our
answer is
district
we're
record-
having too much fun during the summer.
We're good.
We're not ready to go back.
We have a motion to adjourn. I'm looking for a second.
I'll second.
And a second by Ms. Hanlon. You call for a vote, please.
Hanlon,
No, aye.
Noggle.
Aye.
Spoon,
Aye.
Mullins.
Aye. Thank you all for joining us tonight.